could stay like this, forever following you.
Good morning and welcome to SEN Stream. This morning we take a look ahead to week 4. We discuss the APN assessment and take any questions for clarity. We take a look at a quick tweet of the week. And we will take any questions and provide answers in the chat. Stay tuned to find out more, folks. Guys, good morning and welcome to episode 3, I believe, though I keep doubling back on that. I'm not sure if that is correct or not. But first of all, let's start with some welcomes in the chat. I'm just sorting my computer out because I feel like we're not going to be doing well. So first of all, let's say some good mornings. Miguel, first to the table this morning. Good morning and welcome. As I said, I would have given you some high fives back if I'd known how to do that, but for some reason I can't emoji in the chat, which is not ideal. Katie, good morning, welcome. Got your question, which I'm going to line up towards the chat section of the stream this morning. Christy, good morning. We'll follow up with you in a second, but good to see you in the chat. We've got Iron Manager. I don't know who you are, Iron Manager, but I suspect you've not signed in with your student account, or you're just joining us as a random person off the internet, and that's fine. We got Philippa, good morning, and we've also got Gillian as well. Good morning and welcome to the chat this morning. Now, we are in my attic again. I'm not very well, as you might be able to hear from my voice, but we're going to persevere and move on. I'm sat in an unheated attic, and I'm absolutely boiling. So there we are. Fran, good to know it's you who's lurking around in the background there. I'm not sure if you're just doing it, you know, because of the sheer viewership we have on the SEN Stream for free marketing. I don't know, but fair enough. Good to have you on the stream this morning. So, what I'm going to have to apologize. There's going to be some coughing and very nasally chat this morning. I apologize. Blame the children is what I would say. Eddie got a cold, and then Felix got a cold. But Felix was up all night with 39.5 degrees C on the old temperature front, which was not fun at all. So the sleep deprivation continues, my illness continues, and we should all feel sorry for me. I'm only kidding. But anyway, what have we got in store this morning? We're going to run through the module updates, looking ahead to next week. We're going to then have a little bit of a focus on the Advanced Performance Nutrition assessment, because you guys have only just seen the guidance document for that. You've got plenty of time to get stuff done, don't get me wrong, but you've only just seen it. I know Katie's already asked a question, which will probably kick off the chat section with that question, Katie. So thank you very much for submitting it, and we'll take the opportunity to have a look at that. But if any of you got any points of clarification, or you just need a little bit of extra advice or guidance, then bear with me on that. And we'll go from there. So if, again, as always, folks, the stream is for you. I just host it. I'm just a talking puppet in some regards. But if you do have any questions, queries, or concerns, open the chat. I've always got it open, so and we can go from there. So let's kick off with the module updates. Let me just get you on a decent view. Excuse me. I'm assuming everyone can hear me. Because my Cheval, welcome to the chat. Nice to have you involved. I'm getting a bit concerned because I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. If someone in the chat could just let me know you can hear me, that would be great. My computer's suggesting that you can't, which is not good news. So once I've got the green light, I will continue. Okay, thank you, Philippa. I will move forward. Sorry, I pointless talking to a muted microphone. Excellent, thank you, folks. Right, advanced performance nutrition. Ahead of next week, we have Dr. Glenn Davison coming in talking to you guys about nutrition and immune function. He's done this for the last 2 or 3 years now. Glenn is a reader from the University of Kent. And he's an expert within the topic and in the area. So what I'm going to do is place the slides up from last year's lecture that he did. But just bear in mind, I've just noticed that it says Advanced Performance Nutrition. So we need to change that. But just bear in mind that those slides will likely change. You might change the order, or you might update them with some new content. I'm not sure. So it's always a bit tricky when you've got an external coming in. You know, in some ways they're doing you a bit of a huge favor, and as such, it's not. They tend to leave their slide preparation up until maybe the day before and stuff like that. So it's tricky to get those like bang up to date. But I'll post the ones from last year, and then at least you've got some content to base that on. I'll do that after this stream today, and then at least you've got something to base that on. Really nice session though. Glenn goes through this kind of real evidence-based approaches to the efficacy of what some nutritional components have and its measurement of immune function, and even to the extent of saying, well, what is immune function? How can we measure that? What does it actually mean in a trained athletic population? And how can we try and enhance it, improve it, or generally increase the function of our immune system with nutritional strategies? So if you're interested in that, get yourself across it. If you're unable to attend for whatever reason, I will definitely have the Panopto one. I will try and live stream it again like I did last time. And if not, if you can't tune in there and then, it should be available after the fact. I have noticed on the Panopto that there seems to be some uploading issues, and I don't know if it's that room. I don't know if the room that we're using is the issue. I can always go back and log onto that computer and see if I can kind of get those sessions to post. But my apologies, there's nothing I can do about it. I can only click record and go. If it doesn't upload, there's literally nothing I can do. So I'm trying my best in that regard. Just a reflection on the session. I've never done a kind of flip session like we did on the Tuesday, whereby I put a lot of the content up front, and then we did a way more involved and sort of discussion-based and task-based session where we looked at that substrate usage, and hopefully that's really kind of bedded it down for you that carbohydrate ingestion strategies, you know, they're not as straightforward as you might think, and the intricacies of how it changes, what's the optimal dose, things like that. So if I get chance this afternoon and my voice holds out to do like a bit of a pre-lecture session, I'll just catch up on some of those final slides and then introduce some of Glenn's topic moving forward. So hopefully you'll find that interesting. And again, hopefully you've all had an opportunity to have a look at the assessment criteria for both the formative and the summative assessments. And again, do take if you haven't, then have a look now. Go onto the Blackboard site, take a look and see what the deal is. And if you've got any questions, then we will certainly try and answer them moving forward. Let me just get the chat open and see if there's anything good here. Okay, excellent. Yeah, can hear you. I can't see the Panoptos on Blackboard, unfortunately, but thank you. Yeah, I'm going to look into this, Christy, because I when I looked on the Panopto section of the Blackboard site as well, I couldn't see them. And it said there was a bit of an upload error with the slides. So let me have a look into that for you, and we'll go from there. But I'll be honest, Christy, most of the content on the pre-recorded lecture videos will be of more interest to you. The session that we did on Tuesday was quite hands-on. But again, I'll post the slides to ensure that you knew what activities we were doing and such like, so you can have a go at them yourself as well. Excellent. Okay, let's move it on. So we're on to research methods for health sciences 2. So next week we have a course-specific session. So this year I've been very mindful to make sure that you guys have course-specific led sessions, particularly when there's maybe a bit of a conflict of interest when it comes to what content needs to be covered for the different, quite diverse types of topics that are going to be covered on this module, especially across the 2 courses. So this is a real kind of enhancement that we've gone for research methods for health sciences 2, particularly from a SEN perspective, that we're being less passive with regards to this timetable and very much more active in ensuring that the content of these sessions is actually specific to you guys. particularly on building on some of the feedback that we got from Research Methods for Health Sciences 1 as well. So the first session that we're going to do will be from 10 till 11:30, and that will be specifically with me. We're going to have a dedicated room of which Teddy will let us know what that room is. I'm not sure when he's going to do that, but he's indicated that that will be soon. And then we're going to be taking a look at this idea of research governance, and then effective research practice, and then this idea of looking at the notebook and the laboratory bookkeeping. Again, this is another change for this year. Previously, students will have just gone and done a notebook. And unfortunately, it just doesn't seem to, that layout just doesn't seem to work for you guys. It's very reflective in nature. It's not very it's not conducive to running a trial in the way that a typical trial would be run from a sport and exercise nutrition perspective. And as such, I've asked the teaching team to try and adjust this to include the term laboratory notebook or laboratory book, simply so that you can have it as a bit more of an active document or an active data collection tool, whereby you can do your daily reflections on your data, on your research project, and also your kind of your research practice portfolio, which will make more sense when you see the guidance documents when they come out. But essentially, so that it's a bit more of a tool that you can use rather than what has been previously seen as a bit of a burden and a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest with you, when it came to the end of the project, that you'd have to do all this reflection type stuff. It doesn't really work for you guys, so we've changed that this year. So I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about what the kind of intricacies of running a research trial, some of the research governance that you need to be aware of within the university, not necessarily just specifically with ethics, but a little bit more wider spectrum than that. And then essentially some advice and guidance about laboratory notebook keeping and how you can make it work for you. And then in the second half of this session, you've got 11:30 till 1, and that will be with Teddy. And he'll be discussing sample size calculations with you. I believe it would be useful for you to have a laptop at this session, though I'm not certain if that's absolutely the case, but I think you would be mindful to have one with you, just in case he directs you to any specific software packages or ways of actually undertaking a power calculation. This is why would you do a power calculation or a sample size calculation? As I said to you in the Research Methods for Health Sciences 2 session the other week, sometimes it can be quite useful to determine how many people you would actually need in a research project. So Teddy's going to talk to you more specifically about how to go about doing that. So a useful session to get yourselves down to. He's also put some reading materials available on Blackboard, so do make sure, particularly for the sample size calculations, that you take a look at that, just so that you're up to speed and you know exactly what to expect when you get there. Let me just have a quick look at the chat, so in case there's any questions. Excellent. Okay, I believe there's a little bit more to cover with Teddy as well. Yeah, so the dissertation guidance document, I had a good comprehensive look at it, just again with you guys in mind. I made quite a few recommendations for changes, for clarity, for structure, order, and also to ensure that it was more specific to the types of project that you guys do. Again, another enhancement from last year that I'm trying to ensure that you guys are catered for on this module, which in previous years has not always been the case. And then, so yeah, that you will have seen a glimpse of this, but those quality enhancements are being enacted as we speak. And as such, Teddy is going to try and make those documents available to you in week 4. Now, instructions regarding the design study assignment and word counts are going to be made available to you on Blackboard shortly. I'm going to say a little bit disappointed they're not already on there. I've kind of made those feelings aware as well. So, but once they come up, make sure you pore over those documents to make sure you know what it is that you're submitting. And also just be mindful that your supervisor will be fairly aware of what it is that you need to do as well. So don't stress. If you're in doubt, if you're in doubt, oh my God, I've just ruined everything. Then speak to your supervisor. They will definitely be able to advise and help and guide you with regards to that. Excellent. Okay, let's move it on to, I believe, assessment, health and fitness. Yes. Okay, so you guys did the lactate threshold and VO2 max running tests. I think they were running. I assume they're running. And Fran and Bruno, who took the test, can we share some big numbers in the chat? What was your VO2 max values? Relative, absolute, and what running speeds, assuming you did running or cycling power outputs, did you get to at lactate threshold? That would be really interesting if you could share those, just to remind everyone. I don't know if Bruno's in the chat, but Fran, you're there, so you can share some values if you're happy to do so. And then next week, you're going to be focusing on strength and power tests. So it's shorter duration tests, which will be enough time for anyone who wants to try them. So again, come prepared to exercise. The more people that do it, the more you get to appreciate the different types of performances that you get, the spread of the responses that you get across the class, and also to see how that difference between males and females, between older, younger, because we've got quite a nice spread of people on the course this year. So yeah, if you can exercise and take part, definitely do it. Get the opportunity to do that. You will also be taking the opportunity to do some submaximal assessments as well. So because you might get a client who doesn't want to do any maximal testing, or that they have a health condition where it makes it inappropriate for them to do maximal testing. So do take the opportunity to get involved with those and see how you get on, and see what your predicted VO2 maxes would be and such like. Let's see if Fran has come and given us some numbers in the chat. I'm putting pressure on you, Fran, but you know, your choice. And I don't know how much of a delay we've got going on either. So let's, if you're happy to share, that would be fantastic. Okay, your client. Sorry, yeah, your client profiles for your client testing days are going to be going up on Blackboard next week as well. So at least you'll get to have a little bit of a feel for exactly who it is that you're going to be testing in your groups for the assessment on this module as well. Jane is just reinforcing here that if, in case you've missed it, you can check which fitness testing group you're in on the assessments folder. And again, she's trying to get those client profiles to you next week. So just bear that in mind. And again, don't forget to book in for Avoni's workshops and come suitably attired if you're going to be a volunteer next week. So a classic one is to not wear jeans. Like if you're going to come and do exercise, then bring some kit. You can always get changed while you're there as well. There's changing rooms with locks on and showers and whatever else. So yeah, if you're going to come to exercise, do that. Do take advantage of Avoni's little workshops as well. Super helpful. For just getting that extra little bit of insight and knowledge and appreciating the techniques that you guys are using. So here we go. So we've got some values on the board. So VO2 max average 47 mils per kilo per minute, I assume, and that's a peak of 52 mils per kilo. So nice. I'm going to throw it out there, Fran. I get the impression you weigh quite a lot, not because you're fat, but because you've got quite a lot of lean mass there. Which does tend to drag down your VO2 max value. But this is pretty good as in comparisons to population averages. It's not too bad. Mike, I can't see any text. Screen says preview is disabled in performance mode. Anyone else? Oh, okay, that's fine. That's not ideal, is what I would say. So let me sort it out. Okay, this is not ideal. Just bear with me. I had no idea. Let's have a look. Okay, bear with me 1 second, guys. I'll just fix this. I can't believe we got all the way through this point of the stream and you guys have only just mentioned this. Here's some slides. It takes ages to do this stuff. So thank you for letting me know, folks. Now you can see some stuff. I think what you will have been able to see is the inner workings of the stream because I had the wrong monitor selected. So my apologies for that, folks. We're back on track now, though, hopefully. Yeah, my fault. My apologies. Anyway. Let me, if it's weird, guys, it's probably for a reason. So just let me know. Let me know if you can see this and it's fixed, and we can go from there. What a disaster! If anyone's watching this back, I apologise because that's not great content. I'm going to lose subscribers. No one's going to like the video. I'm going to get fired. No, I'm joking. That's all good. Thank you for letting me know, though. At least we're back on track because that could have got real awkward real fast. So. Right, let's move it on. Nutritional assessment. Hopefully you guys can see these now. Perfect. Let me just have a quick look and see if the chat is... Yep. So Francis come back and said here, yeah, I'm 83 kilos and I don't do cardio. LOL. Only speed walking around London, moving from one place to another. Also, 37-year-old, so the results are not too bad. Giving age-based context, sorry. You've got a lot of lean mass, Fran, but no heart, is what I would say. You've got to balance that up a little bit, a bit more than speed walking. But no, excellent, good to know. Context is everything. If I bump into Bruno, I'll definitely try and find out what his values are, and we can kind of go from there. But thank you for sharing. Good work. Katie, thank you for letting me know it's working. Perfect! Exclamation mark. We can all politely move on. Right. Updates for nutritional assessment. Let's do it. So you're going to be doing nutritional coding of 24-hour recall data. You have interviewed and been interviewed. So you've now got a little bit of information about intake, and now you need to match that to the nutritional content. So you've got a little bit of experience of doing this anyway in across the different modules, which is excellent. But now you're going to be looking for consistency using those kind of dietary assessment methods for research purposes, not just for a client and a one-off session, but actually maybe looking at that from a repeated measures perspective across numbers of participants, across different time points, if you're doing like a longitudinal study, whatever it's going to be. So it's the application of those methodologies and making them a little bit better from a research perspective. So you'll be using Nutritics to kind of code a diet. So you're going to be using your own, and then you're going to be summarizing somebody else's as well. And basically just getting the opportunity to get hands on different pieces of kit by the looks of it. So you're also going to code a diet that you know nothing about, which is going to be provided by Claire. So, yeah, sorry, I've completely misunderstood what Claire is referring to here. So you're going to know a lot about your own diet, then you're going to know a little bit about your partners who you interviewed in week 3, and then you're going to code a diet that you have no idea or nothing about to give you a little bit more insight as to how that works. It's going to be super helpful in terms of extracting needs on advanced performance nutrition, so that's going to be useful as well. So all good stuff. I believe there's another set of slides here. Let's just have a quick look. Yep. So again, how considering the following question around, how consistent will the interpretation of written information be, and then how similar will your choice of food or codes be within and between the group, so within the session itself, and how can you use the results of the nutritional coding to inform next steps using your results? So be interesting to know of those who are in the chat who are doing a research project this year who intends to use some of these techniques. I've just seen the chat here. So Fran was awesome and has plenty of heart. I don't doubt the. I mean, yeah, I feel awkward now. I feel bad. I feel like I'm picking on Fran. I'm sure you've got plenty of heart, Fran. But if you don't do any cardiovascular-based exercise, then your heart will not be. So your heart will be nice and thick from that increase in blood pressure you get from lifting. But yeah, speed walking's not going to cut it. So I'm just a skinny. Endurance-based, or used to be anyway, not anymore, just massively sedentary now, but I feel bad for pulling you out on this, but never mind, let's move it on. Cool. So there's your 4 modules. Some interesting stuff coming up, and you've got lots to focus on. Let's change the view up to talk about some interesting stuff. So yeah, lots to talk about, lots to think about. If you're sitting advanced performance nutrition, do take the opportunity to come and speak to or listen to Glenn speak. He's a great speaker. We bring them in externally. We pay extra on top of everything that costs to run the course to bring him here, as with all of the externals. So please do make the most of it. And for those who are not, there will only be people who sat advanced performance nutrition last year. So you will have seen Glenn's talk anyway. Anyone in the chat who did do that, do try and promote that to your peers. That would be fantastic. Again, you can see my face and on my face. I don't know what's going on here. Let's just fix that. Oh dear. Definitely on the back foot this morning. Oh my. I hate it when you guys can see all of the inner workings of the stream, because it takes away the magic. There we go. Perfect. So, research projects. Again, my advice to you at this particular, so keeping you on track, my advice to you at this particular moment in time is to ensure that you keep an eye on when the design study guidelines come out, and that you're in good conversation with your supervisor with regards to your project idea and how you're going to execute that particular project as well. So that's where you're at. On the next week's session, we'll start to add a little bit of value to the actual running of your projects, like trying to make it real, some of the governance and some of the things like you need to be aware of that you're going to have to fill in and get done moving forwards as well, and some advice and guidance with regards to how to actually run the trial. I do a session later on in the module which is specifically about running a research trial, but it doesn't come till later on. So with that, the research projects are, and the more helpful it can be, and you get more exposure to running research projects as well. So if you've got the time and capacity out with your other commitments to do that, then just get in touch, speak to your peers, and see what projects they're doing, what you might be interested in, and go from there, really. So the more you can get involved, the better it will be for everybody, is what I would say. Okay, I believe we have the tweet of the week. Yeah, so at this point, guys, I'm going to talk about a tweet that I came across this week, which I thought was nice, and I'd start sharing it with you. But what I would say, sorry, excuse me, if you've got any questions for the chat with regards to the advanced performance nutrition assessments or anything else to do with the course, post them in the chat now, and then we can then at least pick them up and hit the ground running with regards to actually undertaking those questions when we get there. So I'm going to look through the tweet of the week, post some questions in the chat. Before we move on though, Fran's just come in here and said, yeah, going to add some more endurance training from now on. Adam is going to help me out with some structured programming. Good stuff. That's excellent. Maybe you could, I mean, I don't know if that's, if that's going to be both ways. Maybe we could get Adam looking massive. I don't know. Hopefully I can improve my performance in September. Running emoji. Perfect. Right. Okay. Let's have a look at the quick tweet of the week. Any questions, fire away in the chat and I can kick off with them moving forward. So the tweet of the week I have this week, let me just get it open so you guys can see. We don't want this guy, so let's get rid of that. So it's always interesting when you look around on Twitter. I like it when people share their experiences of their career, particularly if they do it in a way which you can then look at it from your own perspective. Now, a guy called Robert Seaborn, I think he's called, or Robbie Seaborn more specifically. So I believe he did his PhD at Liverpool John Moores University. But he's done a little bit of a reflection about his time doing a PhD. Now, I would say an MSc, particularly a research project for an MSc, is almost like a mini PhD. It's a very condensed version of it, or like one chapter of a PhD, for example, where there might be 5 chapters to do. But granted, you get a hell of a lot longer in your PhD to do those types of things. So with that in mind, he's written this reflection. So a person before a PhD, understanding and combating an academic identity crisis. This idea of like how you recognize yourself when you do research and work and higher level work within a university environment. So if we take a look at the article now, let's have a little scoot down here, present a view. Excellent. I apologize about the green screen, but I didn't have enough time to fix it, or the inclination to fix it either, because it's a pain in the arse doing it in the attic sometimes, but there we are. So again, have a look, basically. It's a reflection on his time doing a PhD program, and how he lost his identity and how he refound that again and redefined himself. And it's quite, it's quite nice, quite useful. And it's just a bit more meaningful. It's a bit less about the everyday of being a PhD student, and more about you as a person and sustaining yourself as a person moving forward. So have a look, take an opportunity. I will post a link to that in the chat right now, and then at least you can. I know a lot of students come up to me and ask me about. I don't know if that is going to work. A lot of students come up to me and ask me about doing a PhD. And it's, I can only reflect on what it was like for me to do a PhD, which was under some very specific circumstances, at a very specific institution in my own life, such like. So, but it's good to get different opinions and things. And also, You might find yourself sort of clicking on the sidebars here and exploring nature as a whole, which is no bad thing. So take the opportunity to have a read of that, what you think, see if you could relate to any of it, and then sort of extract some of the useful guidance and advice that he gives you in the chat. If anybody wants to follow him on Twitter, I will pass you his account here. There we go. So go check him out. Now, with that in mind, let me just head across. So, let me just get, and I know Katie asked a question to the APN assessment, so I'm just going to pull that open now. I just need to be mindful that my emails don't just shoot up on the screen, so just bear with me while I get that open. Or Katie, if you can post it on the chat straight away, that would be really helpful. But otherwise, I will get that open now, and I will start answering some questions. Okay, so I'm going to open the chat properly in this screen so everybody can see their questions come up. Whoa, gone a bit big there. Okay, cool. That's as good as I can get at the moment. Let me just see if I can find Katie's email, and I will answer the question that was asked. Excellent. So, the question that Katie asked was as followed. So in the mandatory questions, when it says, what are the 3 main nutrition goals that you would like to achieve? Are we expecting our client to refer to specific nutrition goals, such as, I want to increase my carbohydrate intake, or something more performance related, such as, I lack energy after 30 minutes of running, and as such, increasing carbohydrate intake could then be discussed in the report as part of the recommendation. I hope this makes sense. This is a great question. When you, at the end of the day, when you recruit a client or an individual, as we talked about in the second session on advanced performance nutrition, you have absolutely no idea what their nutrition knowledge is going to be. And as such, they're going to describe a problem to you or an issue or something that they'd like to achieve, but then they may not be using the right language in which to describe that. And as such, part of the technique or part of the skill of undertaking that kind of consultation, if you like, is making sure that it's absolutely crystal clear that what the client understands as to what their issue is or how they'd like to move forward and enhance and improve in some way is very clear. So they might not be using the right language. They might not be describing the problem as in the way that you and I might describe them. And as such, that's why there's a section on the assessment, which is on understanding the needs of the individual. So they may well describe a problem which is not nutrition specific at all. It's actually performance led or activity led or frequency led or something like that. But it will be for your partner to try and extract exactly, well, what does this mean from a nutritional standpoint? So I would be very surprised if a client turned around and said, I want to increase my carbohydrate consumption from the current 3.5 grams per kilo to around about 6 grams per kilo to be in line with the ISSN's guidelines on whatever. Like, that's not going to happen. But they might talk about feeling tired, fatigued, in light of sharing with you what their training status is, and also in light of maybe sharing a little bit of nutrition or background as to what they consume, etc., etc. So yes, you will have to identify how nutrition will support that particular individual, and that might not always be that straightforward, but that's part of the fun, is what I would say. So yes, your client is not going to tell you explicitly, I want to do this from a nutrition perspective. They may well do if they're informed or if they know that there's a specific nutrition element that they want to improve, but I suspect that may not happen. And as such, there needs to be a degree of interpretation moving forwards. But it's not up to you as the individual who's doing the consultation. You might ask questions to make sure that it's very clear about what exactly the client means, but it's essentially up to your partner to be able to extract that information out as well. So hopefully that answers your question and provides a little bit of clarity. So while I'm not being inundated with questions as it stands. So with that in mind, I very much intend to share a partnered video set. So last year, obviously, we did the same thing. People went into pairs. They recorded their consultation videos and they would produce their reports. So I will, share the 2 paired videos so you can take a look at what those videos look like. So you can set your internal like thermostat, if you like, or whatever. Calibrate yourself as to what kind of quality needs to be achieved in the videos. And then also I will post the pairings reports. I'll tell you whether it's whether it's a good assessment or whether it's a bad assessment. But I'm not going to necessarily be specific to the exact feedback that they got or the exact score. So I might say this was a distinction, this was a pass, this was a merit, but not necessarily the specific value or the specific feedback that person got, because that's for the individual student to see, not necessarily for everybody to see. So that will help for you to align your strategy, if you like, as to how you're going to undertake this particular assessment. Christy's asked, it's not a silly question at all, it's a great question. But is it anonymous? You will see their face, and do they need to see yours in the video? Okay, I gave an example of what's her name now? I gave an example of a student's video whereby you could see her full frame, as in the student, because she was asking the questions, but you could only see the back and the side of the participant's face. Some people, when you do the client video, some people will be happy to just have the video taken. Other people might not be so happy. They might not want video doing at all. You just got to respect that. So audio only is absolutely fine if video is not an option, whether that's from a technical perspective or whether that's from a feasibility or the likelihood of your participant agreeing or client agreeing to undertake that particular recording. And as such, you can do full face of yourself and the participant. If the participant's happy to just be themselves, that's fine. Or if it's just you asking the questions, but you can hear the audio from the client, that's fine as well. It just depends on what the person is comfortable with. So you just need to do something sensible on that front. The most important thing, and I can't stress this enough, the most important thing is that you can hear the responses or the questions and the responses clearly. That's the most important thing. So don't record your video in a noisy cafe, in a public space, in a train station, like whatever. Like it needs to be in a quiet room that's not very echoey. Just try and be mindful of that. And if it is echoey, like having a microphone close to the person's face. And again, if you need help with spaces to do that, then let me know and I can try and help facilitate you getting an appropriate room with appropriate kit, etc., etc. Hopefully that answers the question. Names, again, you're obviously gonna, it's a tricky one because, like, if I was sat with a person in the room, I'd probably refer to them as their name. So, and it's difficult to change that. So, just when you're recruiting your client, just make them aware of what it is that you're asking them to do. So be upfront about the fact that it's videoed. And if they say, oh, I don't really want to be videoed, then, we can do audio only. And you're going to refer to them as their first name as a minimum. You don't need to know their second name. You don't need to know their address. You don't need to know any of that. You might need to know how old they are because you need a bit of context. But, that could be, are you between 30 and 40? Are you between whatever? If they don't want to be specific about that. But it gives some idea of who the person is would be useful. Hopefully that helps, really. But you would refer to them as their first name, and I think that's okay. Katie, in the formative videos, the nutritionist gives advice to the client. Am I right in thinking now as we are purely extracting information from them? Yes, that's correct. To just give you a bit of context as to why those polyclinic videos exist, the entire assessment used to be based on those polyclinic videos. The problem is with them is that I don't think they're that good. I don't think the advice that's being given is all that relevant or topical. or current, particularly now. Like this was 2 years ago that I thought these things, let alone 2020 for God's sake. So so he because he is a qualified nutritionist, he is providing advice to the client, and that's fine. But I don't have any stock kind of videos that aren't student videos for you to do this on in a formative way. So that's the context of those. But in your client consultation videos, yes, you are simply extracting information, and to the extent where you may need to ask leading questions, or you may need to dispel a myth or extract information about exactly what they mean by a particular term, that's going to be important. But yeah, you wouldn't then transition and say, well, I then recommend X, Y, and Z. Now, a few of the students last year said to me, well, I'd actually like to be able to undertake the consultation as a whole. Well, and I said, well, do the information extraction in the first instance, and then once you've finished that 20 to 30 minute information extraction, if you just stop the video, then you can continue on with the consultation, but you can then start to provide information and guidance and feedback to them if that's what you want to do in that particular session, but that doesn't need to be recorded. So then at least it gives an incentive for why your participant or your client who you've recruited would want to hang around or actually do the task in the first place. So if you choose to give them assessment, feedback or advice and guidance after the fact, that's absolutely fine. I have no issues with that at all. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm kind of politely waiting for questions, really. I mean, I have a chat view and I never use it. Let's have a quick look. So my green screen is really letting me down today. I don't know if we could cure this a little bit. No, there we go. It's fine. It is what it is, I'm afraid, today, folks. Again, any questions, just fire away. I'll try and provide some clarity where possible. I mean, it's quite a pragmatic assessment, really. Like honestly, the assessment that you would have been asked to do like 2 or 3 years ago was dull. When I inherited the module when I first came here, it wasn't a particularly inspiring assessment. Whereas at least you are getting to utilize some of the skills that you would utilize for doing a client report. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Anyway, let me finish my point. I'll come back to you, Julian. Yeah, it was a dull assessment. Now it's a bit more exciting, a bit more interesting, a bit more like visceral, if you like, because it's an actual person doing actual things rather than a semi-staged effort where you're trying to extract this kind of knowledge out. And there's a lot more scope for you to use your own nutrition knowledge to try and address the report. Now, Gillian's asked the question there, if our partner is happy to, can we give the report to the athlete? Again, that is completely between you and your partner. They would likely find benefit in that, but it just depends on whether your partner is happy to share that information. So if they are, great, you can make use of that. If they're not, I feel you might have to respect that and maybe take your own approach to the client report that you undertake, if you undertake one for them. So that's absolutely fine. But thank you for your question. Good question. I can't remember who you're paired with, Gillian, so approach that person and see what they say, really. Cool. Christy, I'm gonna throw. I'm desperate to know what the situation is because I don't want to put pressure on you though. Is what I would say on that front. Oh, there we go. Katie's come back. I assume Gillian and Katie are paired up, which is excellent. There you go. Perfect. Efficiency in the chat, which is great. But yeah, Christy, if there's any updates, let us know. That would be great. But only if you feel comfortable to is what I would say on that front. So, oh dear. Well, with that in mind, guys, amazing news. That's really good. I can't believe you're on SEN Stream, which is insanity. Congratulations to you and your family. That's really nice news. An absolute heroic effort.